I have the honor of introducing someone who will be able to show us a peek under the hood, this is what we're here today, of Domino V10. How Domino in action really works and transforms how business works. Please welcome Luis Giragai, a worldwide executive IT specialist at IBM and published author of multiple books and articles covering IBM technologies. Luis, come on up, my friend.
Yep. So, hello everyone. It's gonna take me like 1 minute to make sure everything's online and connected. And by the way, everything I'm gonna be showing is live, so may the demo god be with us. There you go. So, as I said, my name is Luis, and I'm here to show you what IBM Domino 10 can do for you. So before I show you the demos, let me introduce Domino Toy Makers. Domino Toy Makers has been around for many years, and they are the world market leader in the industry. Now, they are about to launch their new toy, 10, okay? So, because this is gonna create so much demand, you know, Domino Toy Makers is expecting millions of orders. We're expecting to hire hundreds of people, open new offices all over the place. So for that, Domino Toy Makers, as an organization, we just want to make sure that we're gonna be ready. So with that, let me start with the first demo, Karen. She's a great developer at Domino Toy Makers. She got awesome JavaScript skills, and she has been learning Domino for the last couple of years. So now the idea is to show what Karen can do for Domino Toy Makers from the application perspective. So now let me go back to my computer. There you go. So Karen started her day like most people, just going to IBM Verse with, now you can see a beautiful UI using the new custom theme extensions in IBM Verse. I'm gonna go to my calendar right here. You know, I'm gonna approve a couple of meetings. There you go. I can create new calendar entries with the new beautiful React UI. And then after that, again, just go back to my calendar and look at an email coming from my CIO or her CIO that says, hey, Karen, can you please help us to identify the most important applications that we have to make sure they are ready for the upcoming launch? Well, because Karen is kind of new to the company. I mean, she has been around for maybe 2-3 years. But you know, like in every company, right, there are hundreds of applications all over the place. So she actually started with Application Insight, which, by the way, is available to all IBM Domino customers. And she takes a look at very important information like applications by usage. Then I'm gonna go here. I can look at the design complexity of these applications. I can look at which departments are using these applications. And on top of that, I can actually look applications by similarity. Because, you know, if I identify an application that there are 27 applications sharing 99% of the code by, you know, doing whatever I need to do on application number 1, I'm immediately fixing 26 other applications. So now that Karen went through this process, she was able to identify 4 applications. Application number 1, travel expenses. Application number 2, customer records. Application number 3 is the service tickets application, which, by the way, is a Node.js app pulling data from ServiceNow. And application number 4, the sales history database. So let's see it working. I'm gonna switch to my iPad now. There you go. So using IBM Domino mobile apps, you know, Karen can now access these applications available on this iPad. Now, when she talked to these business users, the main requirement was, hey, the application works. I mean, you don't have to do anything on the application. But the main requirement was available everywhere, anywhere, okay? So mobile and connected or disconnected. So let me show you how this one works. I'm gonna take my application right here, which is the cable very short, and I'm gonna create a new expense report. There you go. So I'm gonna call this one Frankfurt event. Okay, date and time is okay. I'm gonna go ahead and call this is for a meal. And as I select this information, you see that this is standard notes functionality like high when and things like that that just come to life in an iPad. So, yep, reimbursable, yes. I'm gonna say, you know what, this was $200. And this is customer, it's asking me, okay, well, it's customer related. Before I do that, when I select is customer related, the Notes application is say, okay, because there is a customer involved, I want you to connect or relay to the right Salesforce opportunity, which now in Domino 10, with the new Notes HTTP classes and the new Notes JSON classes, has never been easier to make these type of connections to third-party system. So I'm gonna go ahead and connect the right data. This is the right customer. And it's asking me, okay, why too much money? Well, I was very hungry. Okay, and finally, I'm gonna go ahead and attach a picture of the receipt, which I don't have, but I'm gonna take a picture of all of you, and that's Jason photobombing. And you see the receipt coming live into my screen. And finally, I'm gonna tell the application that I was traveling with a couple of colleagues, and that's it. Then I'm gonna go ahead, submit and close, and you can see the record at the very end. Now, IBM Domino mobile apps, in this specific application, I didn't have to make any modification to the app. This application was developed 5, 10, 20 years ago, it doesn't matter. In this specific example, not a single line of code had to be changed. Now, in your own situation, you might have to change things like the UI, the colors, the size, because again, it's an iPad, so you have to be prepared for that. Oh, and by the way, this application, IBM Domino Mobile Apps, is so cool that we have IBM champions using IBM Domino Mobile Apps to track their wine drinking, okay? So, now, I didn't show you how to make this application available offline, so pretty easy. Tap here, make offline, select your own settings, click OK, and if I go here, you see the application right now coming offline. At this very moment, this application is now an offline mobile app. Thank you. Okay, so this was a huge win for Karen. She was able not to make the travel expenses app, but every single other Notes application available on an iPad. And on top of that, now people can go and have a nice glass of wine in the restaurant and also take a picture. So let's go after application number 2. Application number 2 is the customer contacts database. Now, this application, the requirements were a little bit different. It had to be web-enabled, and it had to be available on multiple mobile devices and desktop browser. So if you think about that, we're talking about responsive design, and we're talking about a lot of style sheets, right? So let me show you this application. This is what the application looks like right now. Again, I'm doing all of this from my iPad, right? So this is a classic Notes application. You can see forms, you can see views, you can see a Notes document, and that's it. Now, because these Domino toy makers needed this application so quick, Karen used a different approach. She used Teamworker, okay? Teamworker is a solution that's going to be available from IBM in the next couple of weeks, and it allows citizen developers to web-enable existing Notes applications, no matter how long ago that application was developed, but it allows citizen developers to web-enabling these applications without no code or minimum code. So in this application now, we're looking at, we have the same application twice. Why? Well, because Karen invested less than 45 minutes, or let's say less than 1 hour, to take a full application web-enabled. Now, I started my career as a Notes developer, a few years ago, and at least for me, making a Domino app, have 3 forms, 20 views, the security, the business logic, everything inside the application, make that application web-enabled in less than 1 hour. I mean, I don't think it was possible, again, at least not for me. So again, after investing 1 hour, you see views, you see documents. So I'm going to open this record right here. So not a single line of code. Remember, this is very important. Not a single line of code. Now I can get to this. Now, Karen is pretty happy with the result, but she says, you know what? This might be fine for a browser or for a mobile device because, it's going to readjust the screen, blah, blah, blah. But what about the desktop? Well, she goes back to teamwork and she says, let me invest a little bit more. So after investing maybe 2-3 hours and using basic JavaScript or CSS skills, she can now get to that very same document, but with a much better UI, pulling data from other systems if you want to, and even integration with Google Maps and others, right? So again, it's a citizen developer approach where you can now allow your users or your junior developers or your business analysts to take any existing Domino app and make it web-enabled in no time. Okay, so thank you. Okay, let's go after application number 3. This is the customer tickets database, okay? This is a Node.js application pulling a lot of data from ServiceNow. You can kind of see the logo on the left. So this application allows Domino toy makers to understand, if customers are opening tickets, quality issues, things like that. But there is so much information on the Domino side. There is so much data. We have a sales history database with millions of records, and they would like to see this data being integrated. So now, again, with Domino 10 and Node.js and the new Domino query language, now you can do things like, let me look at this order, Chicago Toys. You can see now the customer record coming from Domino on the right. I can look at the order history, again, coming from Domino, and I can look at the opportunities, okay? Now I have a one Node.js application where I can not only read, but also manipulate data inside Domino. So I wasn't expecting an applause right there. Now, the one thing I would like to mention about Domino query language, in this particular demo, we're using an actual Domino database, I will show you in a couple of minutes, that got millions of records, right? Again, millions of records. Before we introduce Domino query language into this application, finding a specific document in that database would take about 6-7 seconds. When we switched that code to Domino query language, it went down from 7 seconds to less than a quarter of a second. Okay? And the Node.js developer working with me on this project, he actually said, and again, this is coming from someone that knows nothing about Domino. He actually said, Luis, this is so cool that it's actually faster for me as a Node.js developer to create applications and to talk to a powerful database like Domino. Okay. Let's go to the application number 4. This is the sales history application. I mentioned millions of records, data about every single transaction, every single order, every single document being created in the context of a customer. So this is what the application looks like right now. On the iPad is classic notes development. I'm not going to tell you who, but by the color, you might think who actually developed this application, about 5-10 years ago. But the thing about this app is that the application is powerful, has a lot of business logic, a lot of security features to protect the customer data. So when the CIO first approached Karen, he actually kind of asked, can you rewrite this application on another platform? And Karen said, but wait a second, now that I know what Domino 10 can do for me, Why should I rewrite it? I'm a JavaScript developer. I can do magic with this. So now let's switch to my computer. That very same application that I developed 10, 15 years ago using Nodes, today, only investing maybe 5 or 10% of the time that it would have taken to rewrite that application on another platform, the only thing that Karen had to do was to put a new UI based on JavaScript, whatever framework you prefer. We're using React right now, Angular, Express. You are the expert, so you decide. And now that same application looks beautiful, web-enabled, responsive design, and is using the same business logic, is taking advantage of the same Domino security features in the back. So why rewrite if I can modernize? Now, Karen is not stopping right here. There is actually a very important business partner. Remember, I said we're going to have new partnerships. There is an important business partner in Australia that they are actually an Office 365 customer, and they have been looking to use this app for many years. But, they are Office 365, so they didn't want to use Nodes. So, well, let me show you. Now, inside Office 365, I can go ahead and register these powerful Domino apps. You can see it at the bottom left. And now you see the same application running inside the context of Office 365. Pretty easy. Now, this platform was so powerful that this business partner actually said, you know what, I kind of like that. So they decided to now go and invest in Domino themselves, and they actually developed a very cool customer contact database that they now use internally to manage their own contacts. And that's coming right there, hopefully. There you go. That's it. So another Domino application running inside Office 365. OK, good. So let's go back to the presentation because I want to summarize what we did here. She has now implemented a mobile platform by using Domino mobile app with minimum effort, OK? Minimum effort, or sometimes zero effort. She has web-enabled existing Domino apps without writing a single line of code. Or, again, the more you want to do, the more things you might need to use. She has increased the value of the Domino apps by integrating with ServiceNow and Salesforce. And finally, she has extended the Domino environment to now run in the context of Office 365. So I think at this pace, within the next 5 years, Karen might be the next CIO for this company. OK. So thank you. So that was demo number 1. Let's go now after demo number 2. More than a demo, I want to tell the story of Carlos. He is the system administrator at Domino Toymakers, and he's kind of jealous that Karen got all these applauses, right? So he said, OK, now what can I do as a system admin to make Domino Toymakers be ready for the next chapter? Well, number 1, operating costs. Domino Toymaker is going to be making a ton of money by selling 10, the little robot, and the other one too. And this company wants to stay competitive at the same time. They want to make sure they are spending money where they have to spend it. So for that, 2 things that Carlos introduces is the new CentOS support. So he takes all the Domino servers running on Windows and migrate them to CentOS, which, as you know, is an amazing community-driven platform where we, IBM, we now officially support as a production environment. And on top of that, we use Docker, or he uses Docker, and now he's not only able to reduce the footprint, but also to update and optimize the maintenance of the Domino servers. So that's one win right there. Let's go after the next one, TCO, SLOs, SLAs. Given the upcoming demand, Carlos wants to make sure that the moment that, at 2 a.m. his time, an order is being created in, let's say, Australia, there is nothing going on the server, and the environment is going to be 24/7. So with that, he uses cluster symmetry and auto repair, where just in, I don't know, it took me like 2 minutes to set that up. So in less than 2 minutes, you can set up an environment where the moment that there is any type of database corruption, Domino will try to fix that problem by itself. And in the case of not being able to fix that specific database, it's going to pull a healthy copy from another member in the cluster in real time. Next morning, 6, 7 a.m., when he wakes up, he will know something happened, but he didn't have to do anything. On top of that, using cluster symmetry, the moment that he needs to scale, like add new servers to the environment, using cluster symmetry, and the admins in this room will know this, it takes about 1 second to add a domino to a cluster. Now cluster symmetry will take care of making sure that all the required databases, the ones you define, will be properly deployed in that new server, in that new environment, again, without having to do anything manually. Thank you. We need to start coordinating, so when you applaud, I drink water. OK, so next one. Let's talk about a centralized monitoring environment. So you guys all work for big companies. Many of you are system admin, and you know that you not only use Domino, you use so many other systems and servers in your environment. So now in Domino 10, slide, please. There you go. Now in Domino 10, we're introducing a new capability where we allow Domino to publish health, performance, and statistics to other environments like New Relic, Graphic, and many other platforms where, whatever you use, as long as we support it, whatever you use, now you will be able to have a consolidated view, not only of Domino, but of also every single other platform in your environment, all in one place. So finally, Carlos now fully understands his environment. Now he knows what they can and cannot do at Domino Toymakers. So he says, OK, there are a couple of offices where the hardware is a little bit too old, and there are some other offices where, I don't want to have a new server right there. So what about cloud? OK, so he looks at Domino Apps on Cloud for that, but before doing that, he goes back to Application Insight and uses the Insight functionality. That's kind of, I guess, where the name came from. And Insights, he now can look at the Domino databases, all of them, and in one view, he can fully identify which applications are cloud ready, meaning that he can take that application, move it to the cloud in 2 minutes, and voila, now that application is cloud ready, cloud enabled, without having to change a single line of code. Now, in your case, and this is not a good practice, and you don't have to say I did it, but sometimes developers, they actually hard code things like the name of the Domino server, or maybe IP addresses and stuff like that. Well, Insights actually tell you which applications need to be changed or might not be ready for cloud, and will also tell you which line of code you have to change. Okay? Now that Carlos went through all of that, thank you, there you go. Now that Carlos went through all of that, he's now able to move to Domino Apps on Cloud. So again, back to summary. Reduce cost, a new optimized environment, bulletproof, and 24/7, all with Domino 10 and Domino Apps on Cloud. OK, demo number 3, and I promise that this is the last one. So we're going to talk about line of business, right? So this is Simon and Laura. These are 2 people that are about to take advantage of everything that Karen, our developer, and Carlos, our system administrator, did for Domino Toymakers. So let's go to my iPad. There you go. So we're going to start with the sales quotes database, OK? So Carlos is visiting a customer. He's about to create a new quote for a customer. So let's go ahead here and type new proposal. So I'm going to call this Acme, OK? And I don't have to type all the orders, so I'm just going to click Build Order. It's going to pre-populate all the fields. Now, before submitting the order, he actually has some questions because the customer is saying that, hey, can you produce like 1 million toys for me? Well, he's not sure, so before submitting the order, he clicks Get Help, which takes him to Watson Workspace space, and it takes him directly to the Domino Toy Maker's War Room. And here it's going to say, can we produce 1 million toys before the holidays? I'm actually surprised. During my rehearsals, I always had a typo. Well, I'm not going to spoil it, but there you go. So I can go back to my form, and I can go ahead and submit this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead here and save and close. So, Simon is now done with the order. He submit the order. Everything's working on a tablet. He can go to the next meeting, and that's it. So back in the office, now let's talk about Laura. Laura, she's the executive director. She's the one that kind of looks after all this, big stuff in the company. So she uses IBM Connections Engagement Center, and she can see right now real live data coming from Domino. So she looks at a couple of requests. So let me see. You can see that this is the one I just created for $200. That was that very expensive breakfast. So I'm going to go ahead and approve this one, and I'm going to go ahead and approve this one. Again, live approvals back to Domino. And then I'm going to jump to the right side where when Laura can see all the sales orders, right? I can see a bunch of information about different orders and things like that. So you know what? Before approving these orders, she actually has a couple of questions. So for that, she's going to, again, go into the War Room for Workspace. There you go. Oh, the moment she jumps into Workspace, she actually sees there is a quote request being sent to Workspace by Domino, without nobody else in the middle. So, and from here, she can do a few things. She can see a couple of things, like by clicking on the name Acme, she get a couple of options at the bottom. Okay, so I can reject, I can approve, I can show the quote. Well, before approving or rejecting, let me look at the quote. Okay, so live is going back to Domino and pulling all the Domino data about the quote. So now I can see, okay, yeah, this is fine. So let me go ahead and approve it. And that's it. I can now act on Domino data directly from Watson Workspace. Now, before Laura goes to the next meeting, let me actually do something else here. So show me all pending quotes. There you go. And voila. Going back to Domino, getting all quotes pending, and now from here, I can say, you know what? This one toys you won. I think this is an important one. Let me look at a few more details. Okay, this is fine. I'm going to go ahead and approve it, and that's good. If I go back and execute this one more time, you see that the one we approved is not there anymore. Okay, so thank you. One last piece. Let's go crazy here, okay? I know that some of you might not be using Watson Workspace or Office 365, and that's fine. Nobody's perfect, right? So you saw the integration with Office 365. So what about if you were using Slack? Well, let's go to Slack. Ooh, I heard that. So I'm going to go back. We don't have to show my iPad, but I want you guys to stay focused on Slack. I'm going to create a new order. And just to show you it's live, 1201, Acme, 1201. And I'm going to send this to Slack, 1, 2, 3. There you go, live, okay? So let's say you are not using Slack. Let's say you're using Microsoft Teams, okay? So I'm going to go here, update my Microsoft Teams. There you go. So again, I'm going to submit another one, and I'm going to call this one Acme. And it is still 1202. So 1202, okay. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Direct integration between Domino. Thank you. Direct integration between Domino and Microsoft Teams. And this is pure Lotus script using the Notes HTTP and the Notes JSON classes making the connection, okay? Think about a Domino application that the moment you approve or the moment you do something, right, you actually have to talk to different platforms, right? You have to talk to Salesforce, you have to create tickets, you have to notify the carriers, you have to notify multiple vendors, you have to notify the factory. Think about all those cases. Well, let me go back here, and I'm gonna create a new order, and I'm gonna call this one Acme everybody, okay? So again, you will be looking at Slack, Teams, and Workspace on the single screen, but you can feel free to keep those, but also replace or add new windows with new applications, Salesforce, ServiceNow, I don't know, whatever thing comes to mind, put that in that picture, and let me go ahead and save and close. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Connecting to all platforms at once. With Node.js and Domino Query Language, the opportunity for developers like Slack developers, Teams developers, whatever platform developers, to manipulate and integrate Domino data, I just can tell you that the sky's the limit. In this case, if we can go back to the screen, please, to my computer. In here, I just need to, from here, from Slack, right here, I can pull Domino data. But if I approve it, yeah, I got an internet issue. So I'm supposed to approve it right here. So again, it's a live demo. So again, to approve data, to manipulate data back from Domino, from Slack or Teams or some other platform back into Domino, I take advantage of the Node.js Domino Query Language, and the sky's the limit. You can now have complete control over data manipulation and data access on the Domino server. And with that, I hope you like the demos, and thank you very much.